Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Trust you're doing well as I get over here. And look, that's all right. I'm driving the bus and,
Yeah.
let's kind of just go in that direction. But anyway, welcome everybody. If you're here, then you're in the right place. That's all I can say. You don't need to be confused and say, anything more. We welcome you. This is a second look. You know who I am and my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm wonderful. I hope everybody in the Soul Tribe is well and enjoying the festivities of this holiday season. And I hope it's
Yes.
wonderful things. And
Happy solstice is the way I look at it,
yeah,
because that's really where it kind of all originated from.
yeah, I'm
And
just to the
though,
point of happy everything,
yeah, I
whatever,
mean, you
happy
don't
everything.
need it. I'm going to do a show. It's like the First Amendment, the freedom of religion. Is it just for one religion or is it for all religions?
Bingo.
They,
Mhm.
they get all up top. Let me just speak favor over all of us. Nothing missing, nothing broken. You see, that's a seed for me every day, Trina. And, no matter how many people listen to it, then that's the seed multiplying. So anyway, I digress. But, it's if you say that we have the freedom to express ourselves and our beliefs, then every Capitol building should have a monument to Lucifer, to Satan, to Muhammad, to Allah, to all the gods, right?
My opinion is why can't we just switch it all to goodness and love and leave all the idols to just history and whatever. I don't think that we need to be worshiping all these things that we do. I think that's 90% of our problem is that when we worship, we're counting on something that's outside of us. And the only truth is to find the power that's within you. That is source power. That's the only way to really
Bingo.
clearly communicate with God creator is it's within you. It's never going to come from outside of you.
Never
So
will.
yeah, I think all of this is backwards. Everything's
I think it
inverted.
is too.
Yeah,
People get so uptight, and
yeah.
in this season, it's really about, winter for me is I like winter. Fall is my favorite time of the year, but winter has, I don't know, I guess as you continue to age in this realm and this dimension and perspective, um, winter there's a certain beauty, there's a certain grace about
Winter,
winter.
winter is when we go into the tomb.
Yeah,
This is when we're supposed to
it's
reflect and we're supposed to get ready to create for the birthing of the spring when the sun returns. That's when we
coming
go into
back.
activation of power forward movement. It's the new year. It's when we start everything anew. So right now it's a beautiful time and it's deep and it's very lunar, very moon. And
The
this is
full moon this year for the 25th. If you want to put significance to the 25th, I mean, it's really, I think, Thursday, I think, is hello, Jenny. How are you, dear?
I'm good. I was
It
looking on the wrong email.
But to finish thought, so it actually is the 21st. I was out observing the heavens the other night, the firmament, and it was very odd because our moon, when it was in the what would be for me the southern sky, as it transitioned, it went from here to here.
yep,
Has been
you know,
strange.
That's
I
very,
can
very odd. So anyway,
Well,
hey Jenny,
hey, the
how are you,
25th
dear?
was always, it's a joke on everybody, really, that it was celebrating Sol Invictus, I found out today. The Romans celebrated on the 25th of December, Sol Invictus, which means the
Mm-hmm.
invincible sun. The Druids always, it's from the 21st onwards. So, like, I've got flames everywhere right now, brewing that energy up and taking that energy in. But it is Sol Invictus that the Romans celebrate on the 25th. Nothing to do with anything of the consumerism that we've been taught to have about it. But it is in a way because it's still sort of that Roman, financial system, that's the
It's
foundation of it.
still here. I mean,
It
It's like,
works. It's magic. It's strong magic.
it's odd that you wrote that because, today we're all in our species. We can't even identify what the gender is by sex. And,
Mm.
it's some really dark magic. Robert's going to have his show on Saturday. I'm going to be a guest on there. And it's interesting because you have the three wise men, right? And they always have camels, right? But that's not true. Camels weren't introduced for a couple of hundred years. It was horses
Or donkeys.
or donkeys. I mean, it's like, well, how'd that happen? Yeah, but listen, it is a deeply seated day for humans because, as we've said, the 25th, the sun returns.
Mhm.
And and our days are going to become longer and life is renewed within death.
Yeah.
It's
And that's
very
the invincible sun.
spiritual to me. It's very poetic.
It's a
It is.
beautiful time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what resets our wheels, and it controls our body, and it's all time.
Hmm.
We're so affected by time and cycles and patterns. And that's what I've been doing a lot lately is pattern recognition. It's like, wow, when you
Yeah.
start doing that, it starts putting so many pieces together. It's
Mm.
utterly profound. Yeah,
Very.
it's looking at the laws of nature, and then how laws of nature were created by the formless. We were talking
Hmm.
about to manifest
Yeah.
that which is not and bring it into manifestation. It's like the things that are not into form. We do this through nature. It's the only tool we have. The law of nature is ruling the physical realms. There's no other options with
In
this.
this dimension, I went to sleep meditating on the soul and spirit. The
Yeah, me
books
too.
that we're reading, I am being drawn like a moth to the flame. Um, it's opened up something within my spirit or my soul or my consciousness. There's something about the Eastern teachings, and the
Oh God.
student is ready and the teacher is presenting itself.
Yeah.
Master
I'm very
teaching.
connected to the Persian stuff, with my mom
It's
having
the
that dual
Eastern.
nationality. Yeah,
Have you
and it
read
was so
have
deep.
you have you read the Master Teachings of the Far East? And there's like
Yes,
10
yes. Remember, I
volumes.
did
Some of
that,
it,
about
some
five
of it.
years ago on this channel.
Those are some good
It's
teachings.
amazing though, Trina, because that was probably the seed because we've been on this channel in a very, serpentine journey. But now we're coming into where, at least I know for myself, it radiates we used to call it the Rhema of the Logos,
Yeah.
the
Mm,
light of the word.
Yep.
Yeah.
the living,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are the living word
yeah.
because
Yeah.
we can image and project into the world with words. Words are
Yeah.
swords. They'll slay you or they'll save you. So yes, words are very powerful tools, and every word we speak, the vibration that comes out of our mouth and our spirit, it's an eternal wave. It never stops.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting you're saying that because prior to the knowledge that we gain for myself, so you think about telepathy. So how is telepathy impacting on vibration or frequency? But if you understand how you just expressed it, Trina, by vocally, we create these vibrations, these frequencies. I can replicate that in my thoughts. I played the
Yes, it's the
clarinet, the
sound.
flute, and the
Yeah.
bassoon. I can tell you what a note in B flat is,
Yeah, and
I
that
can hear that
sound,
in my head. Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, and that sound that you hold, it's bigger than the physical world because we can use our imagination, and you can play that like in your imagination, and it will register with the brain activity almost identically to if you were doing it in real life.
See?
It's the
Yeah.
same process.
Absolutely. It's a
Yeah,
build, isn't it? You're building that the thought waves, you know, and you're building them into a form. But when I hear when I'm working inside like that, Wayne, and I hear those sounds, that's really strong for me because I feel them like reverberating, I can feel the vibration. I can build it easier. I can build it far easier in tongues in that space, like you say, with music, with tones that are just around and the reverberate. And I think that's when it comes from the within to the without. But when they're inside that space, like water, with all of the water in that space too, those words for me are amplified, you know. So when people are having words that are self-degrading inside, you can imagine how they reverberate around and impact the pattern of that inner water. But when you're hearing music and you're impacting like speakers against that inner water, that inner flow, that's when it's really building for me. I can feel you there when you go to that space. It's
As you
fantastic.
were talking, I keep on thinking, the movie Doom. Paul Atreides. I mean, his name was the sound that could kill.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I think as we get more into ourselves is that we find out that there is this unknown power. There's this or power, knowledge, source, I don't know, that has been lost. And for us Westerners particularly, I mean, for a
Mm,
Westerner to begin to understand Eastern philosophy and theology is quite the journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we're burdened, um, for instance, with Christmas. The thing about Christmas is that it's worshiping a god of materialism. So we lie and deceive to our kids, telling them about a Santa that can magically fly through the air with reindeers, and and we laugh and we think, well, that's kindness, that's love. Actually, it's the very opposite of it. You're setting expectations within the child that can never be met. And so they then go through life disappointed that the fact that their magic doesn't work.
Well, see, and that's the thing, it's inverted because you're counting on Santa to do it.
Yeah,
Outside.
Satan.
It's the
Yeah, yeah.
inversion again. Yeah. So, but
Well,
children
Santa
do
Claus is Satan. I mean, it's
correct.
it's
And it's
red
that,
and white. I
yeah.
mean, it's we're gonna get. I'm looking forward to the show on Saturday, Robert V over at Milky Way Soul Drive because
Speaking of Milky Way,
yes,
I had a
Good
little,
segue.
yeah, I had a little conversation with Brian, and we were doing like we used to do on the phone, throwing ideas at each other, and it was so beautiful because he was educating me, and he wanted all of you to watch his music video. We won't get fooled again. So
Mm,
he says, this is what I want you to look at right now. I want you to see this. We won't get fooled again. So
by the
I
Who.
I did this after our conversation and I was blown away because it was all in what we were talking about. But literally, it's so funny. He was saying, um, literally, all he was saying is we are here for your entertainment. How do we create something from nothing? We can produce something from nothing provided that you are using the laws of nature. Space is not nothing. Nature was before the matter. The laws of it were formed before it was in being or expressed. It is quantum in its field. The fact of the mother, also known as the mother nature, controls the laws of this expression of creation. Let there be light was after the laws of nature were already introduced. Laws of nature, the mother, Sophia, the pleroma, or the mist, the wisdom, the wise dome, or the containers of quantum energy. So science believes they've proven God now by the burst of energy that started the timelines. We are in a vacuum that is empty space. Feeding that vacuum is something. That empty space is something. It is not nothing, but because you cannot perceive it, you perceive it as nothing, but it is something. It contains magnetic forces, the drivers of the laws of the nature. This creates the physical reality. He said, you truly are gods because you take all potential wave patterns and you collapse them into a particle, a part of the whole, a focus point of energy that gets directed into a reality through your focused thought. But what about the realms of creation that are not physical? Just like the 90% of the empty space of the atom. He said, look at the ether, the etheric, it's electric, it's magnetic. He says, it is all that is in unformed potential. He said,
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and it's exactly what another expression is calling those things that be not as though they are. And it's
he said we speak
that
it
substance,
into
you
yeah,
know?
he said we literally create it because we take it from a wave to a particle. We snap it into matter. We are doing this. It was so beautiful what he was showing me. He was like, we truly are creating the world. He said, you really don't see
So
how
if
big.
we're creating, aren't we gods?
Yes,
We are gods, but I think as well it's
we're
there's
a
God
particle.
there's gods in, yeah, there's gods in tiny bugs, the bug
We're
life
a
that I
particle.
see. They're
Yeah.
Yeah,
gods and they're creating matter from around them. They're pulling in compounds from leaves and creating something. Bees, look at how they do it, a hive. So I don't think, again, I think we've got to get out of that layer cake thing. Not that Trina was saying that, what Trina said was beautiful. That hierarchy thing of the existence that we live in. We've really messed ourselves up with that and separated ourselves from nature, and not just nature in general, but the nature that surrounds us at the time that we're present in. To look at the layers of gods there, they're no more or less important than us. We're just with them. We are really one with them. And when we do really connect in with them, we see the gods in bugs. We see the tiny little things that play with bubbles on cells. They actually play. You know, there's layers of these gods, but not hierarchical, because we need elements that are unseen to the naked eye to create us and to maintain us. That element is a God within us. And do you see? So it's endless, it's infinite. It's
Well,
great.
it's the idea to give birth to an idea. I've seen that. And then really
Mm,
all of us are an idea. I mean,
absolutely.
in essence, we are. It was someone thought of us. I
remember I
give
told
thanks
you?
that out all the time. I can't see it. I can't define it. It's above God. I don't know what it is, but I know it's there, and I
Remember
It
give
is.
I told
thanks to it.
you
Yeah.
when I asked God how I was made, and remember I told you he showed me an image of me. It was a thought, and the thought wasn't my physical, it was my consciousness. It was not my body.
Yeah.
But the energy came out of this light, and as soon as it hit this uh space, it started to vibrate, and then it started to take form through geometry. And then the geometry started to explode into different geometric patterns. It was the most profound thing I'd ever seen, but it all started with a thought and a spoken word. So that's why I know we all have a specific sound for our original spark that left source. We all have a specific sound, just like a fingerprint, an iris. They're all identically, beautifully, uniquely made. So that was really profound to see that when I was so young. And I had no words for it. I couldn't explain it. I had no idea. I was like,
It's quite primal. I mean, I go to when Harry met Sally. I
mhm,
mean, the fact of the matter is that with women in that state of ecstasy, they're giving truth to a truth when they're
mhm.
saying,
Oh
"My
God.
God, my God, my God," because that's exactly what's happening here. They are their God. Men don't do that. Women do. And it's quite a study. I had a client back in the 80s, Masters and Johnsons, and I still remember that it's a phenomenon of our species is why does that happen? Well, now I can see on a spiritual level there's a truth being revealed here. There's a temple.
I think it's a
And
Stargate. I think when women
it's
get
a
to,
Stargate, all right.
yeah,
It'll take you places.
Make your seatbelt.
I think when it
Line up.
opens,
It's
that
like, yeah,
frequency
it's a gate, okay, that's for
is a
sure.
primal cry to creator because we know we can create at that moment.
It's
I think,
amazing. I
yeah,
mean, as you look into thought, I mean, even as we talk, I'm having this conversation because here's the weird thing. And lately it's becoming more and more. It's like I'm having this conversation. I realize I'm in this body, but I'm not actually in this body. I can observe the speaking, but yet there's this consciousness that we call, it's like I'm hovering. I know this sounds weird, but if you could almost see in multi dimensions, for myself, I'm hovering in between these different states of consciousness. Maybe that's the word.
I
yeah,
It's
think
rather
that's
int
you're stepping into real animation and you're stepping into real wheels, the different parts of your bus. And that's awesome when you feel that you're almost feeling yourself as a navigator in a different layer of you,
yeah.
you're able to see your co-pilot in the body, and that's when you start to really open these doors and open these keys and these different wheels that you have the ability to either spin simultaneously, so working in body and spirit, or really spin with force with your spiritual wheel into and accelerating into the body. It really just speaks of you really stepping into that navigation space where you literally co-piloting many parts of you simultaneously. And that's a really powerful place to be in, I think, right now, particularly spiritually. I think it's good to feel that departure in order to animate the physical from an eagle's point of view, from a greater perspective, maybe, where you're taking your actions and using your words so much more precisely, so much more powerfully because of that, because you've got those different wheels that you're animating, driving many buses, Wayne.
And the wheels go around and round. But
Round
anyway,
and round.
but
Spin.
yeah, I don't know. You hear so much talk about next year, 2024. And I mean, the fear mongering and the fear scale is like, wow. I mean,
Profitable.
it is. And that's the interesting thing because fear is profitable.
Highly.
It
Highly.
is. It really is. Peace is not. You think about it, what profit is, it's like I tell people, they don't make drugs to cure you. They make drugs so you can manage.
Yeah.
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 It's like, geez, it's back to that Santa Claus whole thing. Now I get it. It's like we're tricking our kids. We're selling them into a bondage, a slavery for the rest of their lives. And
Yeah.
it's damn hard to get yourself separated when you realize the realities that we're immersed into.
Yeah.
but I think that's why these collapses do happen.
Yeah, yeah.
There
And
are
it's
reasons.
interesting, Brian, he has a perspective now of not being in a corporeal form, but there's no doubt that his consciousness is in fact you know, continuing.
There
He
Oh,
is.
remembers us.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. He even remembered his video.
Yeah, yeah.
Which one to tell me to
It
go look
tells
at.
you rock and roll. I give thanks. I was washing dishes last night, and I give thanks to the universe that I was born. 1955 was the year of the wood goat, which is interesting for the United States. It was the perfect time to be born in this country.
Mm.
And, I got to experience this thing called rock and roll. And I was thinking, what if I had been born like 200 years before then? That'd been a fucking drag. I just got to tell you. I mean, I don't think I would really have done well in that world. Maybe I'm
Yeah, I
biased.
don't know. I reckon you'd have gotten the tin cans out and made some old rock and roll. What's that song that you, as soon as you said rock and roll, it started in the head. Um, is it God gave rock and roll to you? You know, where the
God
ocean.
gave rock and roll to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good song. That's what exactly
Argent.
what I did as soon as you said that.
Yeah.
But again, it's the ritual humiliation of it all with the and that's very powerful magic with the fear mongering in
Oh,
that
yeah.
these dates make, you know, and the dates and the ritual humiliation of having people who don't even really align with the Christian birth thing still into this magic of buy, consume, you know, get, and it, and the fact that it's not even a birthday that they're saying it's celebrating for, it's such a rug from under the kids' feet. You're right. It's such a big play on them. It's terrible, really.
It is. It's like the
Bad.
movie Wall-E, you know,
Mhm.
consume, consume, consume. And yeah, and you have to be honest with yourself because there is a certain convenience with things. I mean, it's not like it was 100 years ago where homes were still, well, to a degree they are, but for many, we're using electricity to heat our homes. Well, if the electricity goes, we don't heat our homes anymore.
But then again, there are ancient homes here where the fireplaces actually worked in a very
Gee, you
different way
think
to what we
those
call.
folks knew something? That's why I'm
And
going
yeah, and the
that.
fire literally would go around the whole house within the cavities, you know, one fire connected to the others very cleverly with iron plates. So it would layer up the house. So they did have different powers.
They
Those
did.
powers couldn't be taken away by people outside of themselves so easy. Those fires couldn't be stripped away all of a sudden, or the price couldn't go up for the wood that they were collecting. So I think the inventions that we make are wonderful and they're birthed from, like we were saying, powerful conceptions and ideas that are put in, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing. It's just we've gone so far into the consumerism side of things, haven't we? Rather than using
We
things because
have
this is wow.
speaking of fire, so I recently saw a video from a paranormal group, and they were in a building, and apparently that had been used in a ritual. There was a cauldron, a small cauldron that had been in the middle of the floor. And like I said, there was no one there. It hadn't been used until they actually put the camera on it. And they couldn't see it in the camera until they replayed it later. But the interesting thing was this cauldron had a green flame that could only be seen through the camera.
Mm.
So that got me triggered into immediately I started wanting to look into the esoteric studies. And so now I'm understanding and some of the spells and some of the things I've read about how there is this fire that we can create that it doesn't go out. I mean, it's like it's the problem with so many young practitioners is that they open up portals that they don't remember to close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that in the past. It's easy to do, especially when you're in that orgasmic moment. Things
It's
pop
like,
open everywhere and you forget about it and you have a cigarette and have a coffee and then calm down a bit. And you do, you rip things open, especially when you have those powerful moments. And you do have to go back and,
so have any
so
of you ever conjured a fire of that nature?
it's an eternal flame, isn't it? It's an
I've
It's
eternal
worked
yeah.
flame.
What's y'all's idea on that? Because I've never seen that the phenomenon like that. I've read about it, but to actually see it.
It's
I've
beautiful.
activated the tri-flame in the heart, and I've done flames inside my mind. Like I've done it in my body, but I don't do outside. I've always worked in.
Yeah, I do
I
in and
let it
out
be
when I
me.
blow flames.
Yeah, because I know it happens in me first, and it's going to reflect on
Yeah,
the world. And what I do within me can affect the entire universe. So
yeah.
I've always worked backwards because that's how I was shown when I was a child. There was like, no, you do it inside. You got to do it in you. Create
Hey,
it. Think
Julie.
about it. Imagine it. Make it.
I don't
Do it.
think it's backwards in the way people think, though, because at me, when I work in reverse, that's in my powerful state. That's
So what
I'm
kind of
always in
magic would be
reverse.
used for that? Anyone in the chat room know about that? By the way, welcome everyone. I
Money,
see Gaia, Mary
money,
Wins, so many of
money,
you.
money,
It
or
would,
heal.
It's
yeah, it
so
would be
that's my
personal.
question is because I'm drawn to it because immediately something snapped in me when I saw that and I went, no, wait a minute. So we're seeing that this is wow. Maybe I got more in the room here than just myself. That was weird. But
Wow. In
so
Iran, they have an eternal flame. In
so
Iran,
what?
in
Yeah, I mean,
China.
it's interesting. It was
So in Iran,
green,
it's
this
like,
flame.
yeah, it's outside. So like Trina says, they work very much on the inner flame. It's called the eternal flame. It's the eternal cleanser. Like bushfires, to replenish yourself and singe out what you need. It's to warm. So they represent that by always attending publicly to this public fire that never goes out. And that's a real passion of for the Iranian people to make that pilgrimage to do their part to keep this fire going. And that's a representation of the inner flame, the inner heart of the people collectively. But so it's very powerful to represent it. Green for me, it would be for the heart, it would be for that healing energy, for that loving energy. It would be herbs combined like rosemary, often would represent green to me.
It
Thyme,
had to be some powerful invocation for that to
really
have,
powerful.
however long that building was empty for this group of paranormal. And, again, if they didn't have the right equipment, it would have never been seen by anybody.
Mhm.
So it's gotten me to think. So someone obviously knows something. I don't know if they were what type of magic they were practicing, but obviously they either conjured something up or they were able to, as an alchemist, Jenny, that were able to pull together. And it's got me thinking, so why can't we do that? And I
Well, it's
say
quite
that,
private, and we can, and
okay,
we do. There's woods around my area that very close friends know that if I go missing, to come here or here or here, because I'll be in one of those spots. There is things that people would look upon, like a cauldron. There are practices that you do, and to be honest, for the last 2 years, I've been very careful as an alchemist of what I put out on YouTube, because of the energy that's been around
mm-hmm.
literal witch hunts, and people looking at a cauldron and instead, like you, being intrigued and like me and Trina, immediately drawn in to say, that's a wonderful thing,
Yeah, I mean,
just
that's like far
demonizing it.
out.
So sometimes you have to be a bit careful right now
Well, sure you do.
what you put out there and what you've done as a group somewhere, because then that can affect that flame, the outside intent on that flame. I hope that flame stays hidden and
I
strong
hope so
and
too.
continues to do its work, because it's lovely to see it, but the danger of it being seen is present, for it to be corrupted.
I kind of
So
feel like it's like a I did the Richard Petty driving school where I actually got to get into a NASCAR at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And my point to this is that you can push that car beyond your capacity to control it. And I see magic as the same way. It's like
mhm.
I'm immersed in this very powerful vehicle, but boy, I'm not so sure I'm ready to put the pedal all the way to the metal, so to speak. You end up
That's
wrecking
wisdom.
doing that.
That's wisdom, though, because you can start to do some magic, and then you really have to look down the layers of possibilities of where this would go, how this
Yeah.
could be used, how others will take this and use it. Because you can be planning or putting in an equation something wonderful and beautiful that's from such a good space. But if you're applying that magic into the wrong energy or the wrong space, and you're giving all of that beautiful power to that space that either isn't ready for it or doesn't have the wisdom or intent to use it correctly, you can end up from a really good thing as a concept because it does involve the interaction of a lot of others around you down the line, thinking, damn it, I opened a door to that and I didn't see that consequence coming, in the end. So you do have to plan it out
Ouch.
and process it, otherwise it comes kicking back at you.
So what say you, Trina?
I think that we could do anything we imagine.
I
That's
believe we can. I mean, there's nothing
yeah.
impossible to him who believes.
Yeah, and I don't think
Nothing.
we need anything outside of ourselves to do it. So if that's just my core belief system, is that whatever whatever I do comes from inside of me, because I have an understanding that I came here to be cut off from my highest part of my wisdom, because wouldn't even be a challenge if I was fully, completely connected with my soul. If my soul was fully present in this body, I would know everything. So there would be no point to be here. It would be worthless. So I understand the laws. I understand the laws of nature. And this is the realm of like death. This is where you come to
This
experience.
is the realm of death. There's
Yeah,
no doubt about it. I
yeah,
mean,
there's no death there. So it's you come here for that experience. It's just when you get to a level of understanding that this is all about you, through you, and for you, and you're doing you and creating everything around you, and then the realization of the collective and how powerful it is and how powerful their beliefs are, which are completely false, 90% of them, because all of ours are. You've all been lied to.
oh,
We're trying to figure it out.
layer upon layer, perception upon perception. I mean, the deception, it's it's just, what
And
do you
just like
say?
that dream I had with my dad, I mean,
Yeah.
that was
So
so
you
profound.
were so do you feel that you were in the dream world? Do you think you were in the astral realm?
It felt like here.
All right. So it's interesting because the
Felt like
realms
here.
of sleep, the question I had for years, do spirits sleep? Apparently not.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they don't.
Mine
So,
I don't think we sleep to them, though. I don't think we sleep because you're in existence and you're in just as real existence. I do most of my work spiritually when I'm sleeping
me too.
because you get into that
hmm,
intentional sleep. So I think it's not that we sleep and they don't. The way I feel it and the way as my role, I see it is that we're active when we're asleep. It's just the bodies that aren't active, but we're actually going further usually in the dreams than we go in the physical day-to-day walking around and moving around, So I think spirits see us in both of those spaces, and we see spirits vice versa in both of those spaces. So it feels like they never sleep because we could be meeting up with them when they're in their dream space, in their REM sleep, or we can be meeting up with them when they're active. I think we just bump into each other. And to us, either way, we're awake because we're bumping into the consciousness, really.
the
That
Hindus teach that there are those they call the dream walkers.
yeah,
Dream
yeah,
walkers are people who can walk in other people's dreams.
yeah. My daughter's very good at that. She's
Mine
freakily
too.
good.
Mine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is
they say
she?
you really have to be careful, but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't I in what they can do. I mean, the movie Inception, that came out about Brad Pitt was, I think, was in it, or was it DiCaprio? Excuse me, that's who it was. And the whole movie was, and there, in fact, there's a course in psychology now that you can take called Inception Reality. And that is the belief that there is potentially humans that have mastered this technique of being dream walkers. They literally, are y'all frozen up or is it just me? Okay. It's
Listening.
like
Just listening.
it's like a moment I'm looking at everything. It's like, well, wait a minute, that don't look like but anyway, so it's kind of odd that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I think people have natural proclivities, like Trina's daughter and my daughter. Abby's come into my dreams a couple of times when she sensed I needed her, when she sensed I needed help, and she's come wandering in. And you have this connected dream, which is, I love freaky, and that's freaky sometimes, to say, oh, hello, and you're asleep in the body. But so that I think people like gifts have natural proclivities to it. But they still have to train themselves in that gift. And so there's a lot of training you can do with breath work, intentful sleep, closing your etherical windows and doors before you go to sleep, and intentfully opening up which one you want to explore or be a part of. There's a lot you can do to train yourself, like we're having every other spiritual aspect, to get good at that. And that's what this time of year is great for, because my sleep's totally reverted back to 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. And I love that, because it's a real, like Trina said, resetting of the clock. And we're spending so much time in that dream space. It's a really great space to build for the spring to come in that dream space, build the manifestations for the spring to come. So it's a really natural space for us to be in right now, to practice intentful sleep, dream walking with intent.
Yeah,
Really.
that's interesting, to train ourselves. I mean, the first lesson that, I was taught is to how when you're in the dream realm is that when you can look at your hand. And because it's difficult for people to look at their own hand in a dream state. But if you're in that place of lucid dreaming, you can actually, that's where the dream walkers enter, is that you can actually count the fingers on your hand.
And if you paint one fingernail, that's great to do as a practice as
If
well.
I did that, my wife would begin to ask some questions, Jenny. But anyway, no.
David Bowie, just one fingernail.
I like the
A
pink,
dot
don't
on
you?
it,
I think it's
you recognize it. I'll send you a teacup.
it's like
That's one way they say that helps you identify if you're dreaming or not. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I hadn't thought about, the painted finger. It's interesting.
And some people carry totems in their pockets. So like
Yeah.
they'll sleep with something in
Yes.
their pocket. They'll always have a totem, or they'll wear a necklace, or they'll
Yes.
have
Yeah.
something on their body that's their totem, and they'll use that totem to keep them anchoring into which one is real. So they know if they don't have their totem, they know they're astral, they know they're dreaming, they know this. If they have their totem, they know that they're in their real physical body.
And there is that plate. Go ahead. That, where you look at what we would call the demons, the creatures of the darkness. But it appears that if a demon can enter a human's dream walk, then I guess angels can too. I guess then the question is, can non-humans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a space. It's just if they can resonate in that frequency that you're in, then they're just entering into another space, and banging up into you for good or bad. It's, of
I
course
can
they
heal
can.
Lynn better when she's asleep. I can literally lay hands on her and deal with strictly the body energy than the
Well, everything
consciousness.
opens up when you're asleep, and everything calms a little bit, heart rate and even skin pores, they open up. So the body that's why we've got to go into intentful sleep, because the body is actually so receptive to whatever you're going to drench it in, consciously or around you. So it's important to have clean bed sheets and all of those things that build for a complete space for your body to rest in, while your consciousness, can explore, because you've switched off a little. We make these for the kids. Well, my mum makes them, but they're little dolls that we put. Can you see that? Oh, I don't know if you can make it out. The
There we
little
go.
dolls that she makes for the kids, for anybody, but the little worry dolls, really, or you can tell your worries to them, but we put them under the kids' pillows. They're just tiny, and it means they've got that. It's like a totem, like Trina says, to have that guardian almost, that if you get frightened in a dream or if you get excited, you can hone into your little doll under your pillow, and you've got somebody there with you, in the dream with you. And it's a really good tool for training their consciousness to be able to connect back when they need to, for that intentful dream space. So that's good for anybody that wanted to do that. They're just tiny little wooden dolls that she makes.
They're so beautiful.
They're
They're
so
awesome.
lovely. She's made a box full. I'll send you some, but
Hmm.
she just she's so artistic. So there's little angels and
Yeah.
the tribal dressed people, and they love them. And so it's important for adults as well to have anything like this. Make your own little doll to hold as you go to sleep. It really just brings that focus in while you can, switch off where you need to and open up where you need to. But kids love them.
It's good advice. I mean, in my life as an adult, as I've told y'all for many years, I mean, I've had these night visions, and night visions are different than dreams, but there have always been what I call these three witnesses. I used to call them angels, but I now realize that they can enter in as if you examine this, and there's others who have experienced that phenomenon. I think my spirit guides teach or talk to me in my dreams, where I've had a recurring dream over and over again. Obviously, something's needing to be dealt with there, but having what I would call, visitors that their actual consciousness. I mean, like I said, it was always the three the same, and they were there over the decades. So, yeah,
I used
appears
to
to be
argue
more
with mine.
real.
I used to really argue with mine. I used to tell mine to stop watching me play, go away if they weren't going to join in. I used to have to be told, but to stop being cruel to them. I wasn't cruel, but I just thought they were no good standing there staring, just watching. They were either going to play or turn their backs, so I could play privately.
As
So
an adult?
this was as a kid. No, as a
Oh, as a
kid,
kid.
three,
Okay.
3 years old, telling them off if they're not going to play, turn around, because I was playing pretend. So I didn't want just people or beings staring. So I would argue with them. And they're still around today, present very much so. I don't argue with them anymore. Um, but yeah, I did argue with them.
I love this.
I was. They didn't say
Well,
anything
Trina,
bad.
you've been suspiciously quiet.
I would just like, it just brings back a lot of memories telling the spirits and the entities, go away. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I had
Yeah.
that too when I was little. I was like,
my
no,
kind.
go away, go away. Just yeah, I was like not having it. Go away. I was nope, mm-mm. Yep, I get it. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Especially when I was a
It's
kid, I had
interesting.
all kinds of energies that I could see. I could
Yeah.
see animal energies, human energies. I could see weird spiritual stuff like skeleton cows, and I don't know why. A part of the psychic part of my line, we see skeletons. Crackabones is what we call them. Is when, especially when the babies see them, they're crackabones. And yeah, it's weird. It's always been a thing. So we see multiple forms, not just like
Interesting.
yeah,
I
it's
used to
very
be.
honestly pretty rare. The one I saw the most was the Lord, but the
Hmm.
spirit, like in the physical world, the spirits. I saw there was a spirit in my house. His name was Chris, and he was like an 18 or 19-year-old kid who died out in the desert. And we could all see him. So I saw him the most, pretty much. But we saw, like
Interesting.
I saw possession. My grandma had a Native American shadow behind her. It was interesting stuff. So I saw a lot of stuff, and the other people could see it too. So I know it wasn't just me. Sometimes I'd see stuff they didn't, but most of the time on the big ones, yeah, they saw it too. So
Yeah.
Many times when I used to be in church, I would see auras around people.
yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, you could look into a crowd and there were just certain ones that you would actually see their auras. I mean, and the others would have none at all. It was it at times it got very distracting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Started wearing
There was
sunglasses.
all sorts of weird beasts that would turn up in the church. There was all sorts of strange.
So I look back, the church was a supernatural place. I mean, it really was,
It was a hub. Like there's
you
no
know?
things I saw, the things I experienced there because it's such a um pumped up energetic space. There's a lot of
Yeah.
activity there because so many people are opening up portals, with their words, with their song, with their body. with their spirit. It's really, it's a huge, and it can be a huge energy boost at times, and then sometimes you would come out feeling like somebody had pulled the plug.
Drains you is what
Going into
it.
like a suction, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And you could tell it was like going into different bars. You could tell what type of spirit was moving among the people. You know, when you walk into a bar and you think, yeah, there's going to be trouble here. I'm going to turn around and go somewhere else. That's what the church could
Or if
be
you
like.
walk into a bar and they're
Right.
singing Sweet Caroline, it's like,
Oh,
well,
you're like,
get
come
me the
on,
hell
come
out
on,
of here,
please.
It's like, no, man, but no, it's true. I mean, as I look back, Trina, to refer to our conversation last week, I mean, what a far out experience. I mean, what a privilege. I mean, as I look back on it now and I look and I go, holy crap. I mean, you're immersed into it, but you never think about it at the time. It's like, well, this is God. It's like, I want to touch God. And yeah.
It's like we come here to play God. That's what we do because we get wiped, that we're all one. We get
Yeah.
wiped through we think we're separate, and that's just not true. So you can't be separated from that which you are.
So do you
So
believe in the individual of yourself, of individuality that survives the in hospice they use the word when a person is physically transitioning, it's called their voyaging.
remember that web of
Isn't that a
consciousness?
great word, by the way?
Yes,
The person is voyaging.
they are.
Go ahead,
You're
hon.
right. It's a great word. Remember that web of consciousness?
Yeah, yeah, your friend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that that is remember I just told you about the dream with my dad and I saw the dimensions.
Hmm.
Okay, what I see is that okay, we are in different dimensions simultaneously. So there's parts of you that you're not aware of
I
that are
believe that.
so within the higher dimensions of you, you are connected to the lower physical avatar in the third dimensional realm. When you die, your mist, that's your Holy Spirit, it leaves the physical body, and this goes into the earth again as it came from. But you take all of that information because it was recorded in the emotional and the causal energy bodies of your auric field. And that bio field of you, the aura, the energy field around the body that they call it many names, that field is conscious awareness. That's you. It's the part of you that exists beyond the physical. And then it depends on how high up the ladder you go as to how many of these bodies you will collapse into. They go like it's shown to me, it's almost like storage, safe storage. So you can always go back and go to your storage containers and access anything you want from any lifetime you've ever had. And then you also have collective container storages from every lifetime. So
That
you,
goes in.
yeah,
Remember the vision I had in the shower? It wasn't a vision. I actually physically left that shower. Anyway, I stepped out, I stepped through, it's in the archives, folks, and almost 6 years ago. And it was November 17th. And yeah, I mean, I stepped through this, what I would call a portal, and there were people there that knew me. And it's like they had expected me to come back. My point was when I went into my own domicile, there was this console. And I had in my hand, it was kind of almost like a tear-shaped white luminous stone.
yep.
And this was all of my emotions, all of
Yes.
my feelings in this lifetime. The love I have for Lynn, it was in there. And there were other stones in the console as well.
Yeah, those are seeds.
Or
And you're
either their
seeding,
past lives.
it's the seeding of a planet. It shows me it's a
Mhm.
seed of a growth of a life on a planet. So it's your seed that produced your tree of life on that planet in that time and that realm. And that's why we are trees. That's so funny. They're showing me that's his seed of life that he had for that lifetime in that location. And yes, you have many that you've gathered throughout your journeys or your voyages to different realms of existence. So
Yeah, it was real.
yeah,
I
I had
remember.
one Wayne where they showed me before I left the planet that I had to retrieve my seed crystal,
Hmm.
and I didn't know
Where
what it
was
was, and
that?
it was in inner Earth. It was
Oh,
inside, deep, deep, deep inside the earth, and it was connected to a bunch of different crystals and this crystal lattice that was growing underneath the earth. And they were like, retrieve your seed crystal. And I was like, show me my crystal. And it just illuminated. And I went and I grabbed it and I picked it up. And when I did that, it was almost like I was immediately wrapped in a violet fire column. And I was transported out and it was brought into a safe storage location. And they were like, don't forget that when you die. I was like, okay. I woke up. It's really weird though, but I went deep,
they'd have
deep.
to call my voicemail.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, and every
Steiger, this is
crystal,
me talking to you. Don't forget the fucking crystal.
right? Don't forget that. Yeah, don't forget your seed crystal. Don't forget what the
Like,
anchor here.
oh
If you
shit, man. Anyone see that's been part of my dream is like this. I'm in these buildings and I can't find my keys or my luggage or my wallet. It's really weird. I
yeah, and
keep
so
searching.
those are all past identity. So those are all reflections of who you think you are.
Well, that's
So
interesting because Jenny, you've been in one of the dreams, and Trina, you've been in one
I
of
think
them.
the
Hmm.
keys, I think the keys are something that you actually, because we've talked about the luggage
I know
before.
it. It
Might
comes.
be
I
being
have this
left
dream
over.
about once or twice a week.
But the
yeah,
keys definitely are something that's going to come up for you that opens up a complete memory set that I think you've buried, that you're going to open just at the right time, for you to be able to process and use whatever that memory set
I'm
is,
looking
like,
because when you start talking to yourself in your dream, you know that
yeah,
it's a dream. But I'm I'm looking for this. I can't find it.
yeah,
Anyway, I once had it, but I can't find it.
you will,
It's exasperating, is what it is.
you
that's
will.
that's very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. The key is the key to unlock the memory, and you will find it. You will.
And I know the wallet has to do with my identity. I mean, that I'm getting the pieces, but
Oh my gosh, I wonder if this is it. You got to find a past self, a past life, because this identity won't work to find that box. You got to find that box. You already found the box.
Yeah, look at it from the perception of maybe
You
that
found the box.
person.
You
Look at
found
the
the
type
hmm.
of
buried.
building. Yeah.
Didn't you find the buried box in the ancient tomb and you had to escape or something?
That was a vision.
And
Wow,
what's
back in
yeah.
1986.
It's like,
Holy
didn't you
crap.
find the box? You,
So yeah, I'm writing these things down because it's like I said, it's the old expression. It bugs me, man. It bugs me.
the key is the identity. This is what they're showing me. The key is the identity, and you're looking at the wrong identity. That's why you can't find it because you're stuck in this identity. It's not from this time, it's from another time. It's a different identity. But the key is the key to unlocking the memory through the identity. Once you lock into the identity of this other time, that answer will be there for you because you'll know right where you put it, right what it is. You'll
Right,
know
right,
exactly.
write down 1922. I don't know why yet. Just
Right
1922.
on. Right on.
uh, we'll talk
There's
afterwards.
nothing
This
else to
is
say about those numbers other than those numbers are somehow going to unlock some things to lead you
it's
to
very
where.
interesting about those particular numbers because I was given a set of numbers. I've put those numbers up. I've actually, those numbers have been very profitable.
Good,
Mhm.
Good, good,
good,
yes.
good, good.
So anyway, Nina, how are you doing, darling? And Jay and Red Honey, all of y'all. Well, I love this conversation because, you know, it's like that Led Zeppelin song. Where the hell is the bridge? Confounded bridge. I can't find it.
Yeah, maybe
19.
y'all can help me decipher that dream I had about my dad because that was
So
very
tell everybody about it.
Yeah,
okay. I'm all of a sudden I wake up and I'm in a like a fishing boat with my father. It's like a fishing boat with a troll motor, not a real big one, and we're right off of the coast of a big city. I can't tell if it's Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. All I can see is we're not too far from the city. Tall buildings and lots of people and lots of commercialized stuff. So we're out in the middle of this boat, and the water is, you know, just waving like a normal. It would be, the water was calm though. It was daytime. The skies were blue. And the thing that was odd was we were in the water in this little boat, and I don't know where we were, what city, but that was odd to be in the water in a boat in a city. Didn't know where I was at. But the thing that was even weirder was all around us in the ocean, it was white. Something was like floating on the ocean, and it was all white, and it looked like snow or sleet or hail. But when I would pick it up, it wasn't cold. So I was like, it's almost like it's plastic or cellophane or something. I didn't know what it was. I was like, but this is really weird. Why is all this white? So it's all white water around us, clear water underneath it. Skies are blue. And then we start driving in the boat, and I'm like, just wait a second, Dad, just stop for a minute. Let's try to figure out what's going on here, because something felt off. And then all of a sudden the sky glitched, and then I saw like 7 dimensions above my head, and you could see the separation between the dimensions, and the skies were different, and it was profound. And I looked at my dad and I go, can you see that? He was like, what is that? I said, those are the dimensions right above our head, but we're not normally supposed to see those. So I don't know why we're able to see those right now. And he just looked at me. He goes, the dimensions? It's like, yeah, Dad, you got a lot of catching up to do, but that's where we go when we leave here. We go to the higher dimensions. And he was just like, whoa. And he was just staring at it. And then I woke up. Very odd.
So
If you
you were dream walking, like we were saying before. You were actually going to your dad and actually working in spirit with him, which is far easier than doing it in the
Yeah.
physical right now. So you're going through that sneaky trap door. It's a little bit of an upside down world, because you're going into his upside down, into his reflective subconscious. The fact that it's the city, and it almost looks like water worlds in your mind, you know, when you're talking about it. It's almost that it's a flooding, and so you don't want to flood him too much. So you're going into that subconscious to work in that space pre any discussions or any other actions on the physical plane. You've released a lot of, I think, a stirring of interest in him, and a conjuring of pushing the boundaries, that you showed him that glitch, that you showed him that it all is not what it seems. I just feel you're working really powerfully in your dad's subconscious. The mist, the white stuff that I saw when you were talking was more of a mist, quite a palpable mist, but you know, like a substance that was odd, but you know, when you picked it up, it almost dispersed and disappeared. So that just speaks to the space that you were in. And Rika kept coming into mind. I don't know what Risa or Rika kept coming into mind. I don't know if it was a street name or a person,
It's
but
a person.
Risa or Rika is connected
It's a
to the
person.
work you're doing. Okay,
It's
well, that's connected to the work that you're doing in his subconscious. And that's a real key to opening up another.
very good hit, Jennifer,
Yeah.
because I'm meeting her in the next couple days, and I've never even met her. That's very funny. And her name is
That,
Eureka.
well, okay. So you meant to do that, and
And
that's so
it's
it's all
connected
working
to my
plan.
father.
I would go back into that boat. The only thing I saw me going back to do while you were working with him going down, I went off in that vision to find a really strong pole, to start to put a pole in that boat when you visit him there next. I'd like you to put some copper around it, you know, so it goes from top to bottom, to create an antenna, because I think that's going to open up the skies in the vision for him a lot more clearly and a lot more powerfully,
Oh,
for him
he
to
could
see.
see it
Conjure
really
that.
clearly. He just didn't know what it was. He could
Yeah,
see it
no,
just as
like a
good as I
greater
did.
understanding of it, but he'll feel confident holding that pole with you in that subconscious space to channel that energy. But this Rika, I think she probably has been nicknamed Rika, you know, when she was younger by some kids, or Risa, for short. She's very connected to this. I'm not sure how yet, but you'll know when you meet her how she's connected to it. For now, you're working in the dark, though. I don't think you'll tell her all of this. I think you'll definitely not, because you're planting seeds right now. You're not sort of bombarding them, when you try and knock through a door with a big boulder,
Yeah, no,
you're
I
not
don't do that.
you're going
Yeah,
into the subconscious. So
yeah.
you're going in the back door. So yeah, that's what came to me when you were processing that again.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly because yeah, my dad's very third dimensional. He's not about any of this stuff. So that's the only way it would work. But
But
yeah,
his spirit
lately
is, funnily enough, his spirit has been in the past very
I
connected,
know, I
which is
know.
why you're being drawn
Feel
to
that.
do this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're doing
And
it at the perfect time.
he's been asking me some serious stuff lately, and I've been like telling him, no, Dad, that's not how this went. This went this way, and he knows I tell the truth. So
Yeah.
he's coming to me for the answers right now, and he's hitting me with some pretty hard stuff. I'm like, come on already. So yeah, that's probably exactly absolutely accurate.
I was just reading in the comments. I think it was Morgan Snow said she has never dreamt of anyone. I guess she says for years, but like just recently, both you and I appeared in her dreams, Trina. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, hope we had a
Wonderful.
good time. Hope we were good guests.
I
All right,
love it.
we've really went over
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
next Tuesday, is everyone on for next Tuesday? It'll be day after
Yeah.
Christmas. Is everyone
Yeah.
good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
good for
Good.
that. We're having lunch, but yeah, we'll be finished by then because we're gonna go out for something cheap, but we'll be back by then. 6, won't
Mhm.
it? Be same time.
Yeah, so next Tuesday
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
26th. So yeah, in the interim, for those of you who celebrate the holidays, do it in whatever fashion. May there be peace and joy and
Mm,
tranquility. You know, there is a peace that surpasses all understanding. That's the
yeah.
one you want to keep. To you two ladies as well, I'll just say happy solstice, renewal of life. The sun is coming back. Here comes the sun. All of you, we just send you a gift of energy. Our little gift of energy is the gift of favor. Open it up, put it on, absorb it, and walk like you own it. That's the only thing I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, wear the favor we send like a freaking cape and feel the nature around you. Feel the power in that cape and the superpowers that we invoke in that cape in you. Go within, submit to self, make love to self this solstice. Just really build this energy of self-appreciation and love.
Put it
Because when you can
on.
do that for yourself, you can do that for me and you can do it for everyone else you meet. So
Jim
love.
Croce used to say, you don't pull on Superman's cape.
No,
All I got to say.
nobody took the cake.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Mary Wins, we
master the
love you.
switch.
Gaia, much love to you and Tori, all the rest of you, Bonnie and Shirley and Deborah and uh all the rest of you. Thank you. I'll be on tomorrow. Um, we're going to continue this Eastern study. I love this stuff. My
I
spirit
love,
I feel like a kid in a candy store, you know?
I think that's the foundation to what we actually, how we learn to activate our superpowers that are not superpowers. They're just dormant powers because we've never
Hmm.
believed in ourselves enough to utilize what we truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. I want some more of it.
me
All
too.
right, everybody. Much love to you.